right across the VFL as well. Down here at Icon Park, and there's the bounce, and we are underway. O'Keefe gets the first tap. Laurie roved it well. Kicks inside, 50 for the knees, and Jefferson charging out on the lead, takes the chest mark, and will kick from around 45 metres out on a slight angle.
I flagged that the weather's a bit weird. It's been drizzling rain the whole time that we've been here for at least 90 minutes. How clean was that, though?
Chris.
Straight down, and Laurie moving through at speed, and the perfect kick inside 50. So looks like early, maybe the weather conditions aren't going to impact the Casey Demons too much.
Back in the side today too, Bailey Laurie, first disposal of the game, Joshy boy.
Matthew Jefferson kicked 3 last week, had 23 goals last season. Comes in 45 metres out. He's pulled it towards the left-hand side, and it's through for a minor score. Our first score of the night going the way of Casey. They're one behind, Carlton yet to score.
So the Blues will bring the footy back in. They won the toss, going to the left of screen in this opening term, and it's Billy Wilson, the man charged with kicking in duties, to half forward. It's a nice, well-weighted ball into the hands of Harry Lemmy. I know he's one of Pete Mercado's favourites, is Harry Lemmy. He can rise when he gets the Sheridan in hand. He goes backwards to a Quay. So Carlton want to horseshoe the ground early. This is Lewis Young. The outer side of the ground. 2 Youngs out there. Lewis and the captain, Lockie. The mark taken by Jack Carroll. Called to play on now. So he'll backtrack, retreat. He'll get to Young on the bounce. McAdam closes. Goes back to the safety of Aquay in the back pocket.
Aquay, little dinky pass. Not a great one, though. Intercepted by Brown. And this might be a goal. It is. And on the end of it is Jefferson, who puts it through. He missed one before, but makes up for that first miss there with a goal, and the D's are on the board.
It feels like Carlton coming out of defence. They want to play almost Fremantle style, that possession footy, making sure that they're picking their way through that press from Casey as cleanly as they can. But because Casey wants to apply that frontal pressure, that top-end pressure, they're not letting those easy kicks come out. And as a result, they force an error and goal off the back of it. So Casey just needs to apply that pressure, force Carlton to make some mistakes there. You mentioned in your intro around a bit of drizzle around here at Icon Park. Is there a need to maybe change the way they want to play the footy? I mean, it's not drenching, wet, serious conditions, but trying to keep possession while it is a bit slippery out there is going to be tough. But those uncontested marks are probably the safest way. So Carlton seem to be trying to play safe footy, and Casey's willing to take it on a little bit more.
So back in the middle, it is O'Keefe. Just mistimed his jump, but still got it down. Verrill with the clearance up to half forward. It's been kicked forward here by the Blues. Up towards the wing on this near side of the ground. Crashing through there was Gregory. It was taken, though, by Young. And now it's out towards the boundary line. First hands to it there was Nelson. Got it off towards his teammate in Marchbank, who kicks up towards half forward. It's been paddled forward. Tomlinson at the back. D's have the numbers, though. Kick forward by Hoare. High up and under kick. Middle of the ground, they fly. Tholstrup crashed the pack. Ball at ground level now. Brown in and under. Spills out the back, though, to Marchbank, who switches the play and taking the mark here. Binns on the outer side.
Binns goes to half forward for Carroll. So can they find a forward inside this 50? It's a long kick from the back. There was a big fly, but the mark not taken. Standing, planting, snapping. It's Liam McMahon responding quickly for the Blues. The former Magpie now in Carlton colours. He's been a noted goal kicker early on this year, Gem, and he's got the first one tonight.
Didn't take you long to bring Collingwood up, Joey.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, but that kick from Marchbank across the ground, out of the congestion, we talked already about the slippery conditions. Those quick handballs can be fumbled, they can be dropped, and they can cause turnovers. But by Marchbank looking up and finding that free winger who had been really disciplined in his positioning to maintain that space and be on his own, that completely opened up the 50 for them. So even though that mark wasn't taken inside 50, it was a different angle that the defenders had to prepare for.
And Liam McMahon has kicked now the 10 goals from the season. From his 5 games, Joshy going at 2 goals a game. Handy little forward for the Blues in 2024.
Absolutely. And kicked a couple last week. He's a big boy. 198 centimetres. So back in the middle.
They're all big
And,
next to me, by the way, Josh.
They
They
are.
don't have to stand on boxes to record podcasts.
You're making me laugh, Joey. Inside 50, and the kicker goal is falling short in towards the pocket. And it's been fisted over the line, and out of bounds it goes.
Speaking of podcasts, you've subscribed to State of Play, Joshy, every
Of course I
Tuesday
have.
morning at 7:30.
Of course I have.
Gemma Bastiani refuses to. Not sure why. It's a great podcast, that one, State of Play.
O'Keefe and Verrill. O'Keefe just pushed out of it. And now coming through Fantasia, worked his way through. And opportunity here for the Blues. Quick kick a goal there from Kale through the left-hand side. And a minor score.
We should make mention of Tajwa Woden playing out there on the wing for Casey. He was the sub last night in that 1 point loss for Melbourne, and now he's out there running up and down on the wing, opposing Carlton captain Young. So he's one to watch.
One of two father-sons out there tonight for Casey. Minnie's Wakefield goes back to Tomlinson. Switches across the ground, and here he is on cue. Pushed aside by Young, didn't take the mark. McMahon slipped through his fingertips. It was a crash of bodies. One's down for the count at the moment. Woden picked it up, went for the handball, and missed. Young snapped it inside 50, and it ends up going over the boundary line. So let's just get back to that collision jam.
It was Jed Adams. He kind of flew over the top and came off a little bit worse for wear, but I don't know that it was anyone else to blame, really. It was just a weird collision.
7 apiece early on in the first quarter. Knocked down after the ruck contest. Spillage centrally inside 50 here for the Blues. And now it's just been stolen out by Lemmy. Snaps around his body, hits the post. A minor score.
That's where Carlton look most dangerous, though, isn't it, Joey, where it hits the deck. It's not those big marks. They're not relying on those big key forward marking options. They're populating the fall of the ball and getting those snaps around the body.
Edwards, it's a risky kick, intercepted by McMahon. He's handball, though, only as far as Tomlinson, who just tried to shrug aside. Fantasia, now caught up in the tackle is Roan Steele. The umpire giving him a little bit of latitude, crosses the arms and will ask for it back. 45 out from the Blues goal. After Casey kicked the opening one in the first 2 minutes. It's been camped at this end of the ground for the last 4 or 5. Clearing kick from Verrill. Didn't get outside the 50. Lockie Hunter shrugged the shoulders, did well to break the tackle and dump the kick forward. It might go over the head. Ben Brown casting the roll of a rover. It's an open goal square. Will it skid on? It'll go towards the left of the stick and hit the behind post, although the umpire is signalling one behind first. So a minor score sees the scores locked back up after 8 minutes at 1-8 apiece.
So Young from fullback for the Blues. Just looking around, assessing his options. The Electricum broadcast side sends this one up towards the half-back position. His target there was Murkov. It spills over the back, kick forward just inside 50 now for the Ds. First hands to it was McAdam. Still nearing the boundary line. Standing in the way, though, and getting the quick hand pass was Young, and now the Blues have switched it towards the outer side. Here's Jackson Binns. He was the best and fairest winner last year. He looks short, and Poole now on debut tonight. Kicks up towards the wing. Luke Nelson takes the mark. Centre wing outer side. Sporting the long sleeves. He cuts the kick inboard. Intended target there was Binns. Had it fisted out of his grasp. Hunter able to get it to Laurie by hand. Laurie sweeps the hand pass towards the middle of the ground. It was ill-directed though. Fantasia to Binns. Binns over the top. Poole again. Takes the mark. Wants to go quickly. He had runners out wide. Ignores them. He goes long with the kick. Long left footer inside 50 here for the Blues. McMahon the target. Tomlinson now. And a whistle on play. And it's going the way here of the Ds. It'll come back now to Marty Hall.
One of your favourites, Jan Marty Hall.
He is, and it's great to see him back in the red and blue. He's obviously played a few games at AFL level this year and came out outside injured. But he's such a composed key defensive option, isn't he?
He most certainly is. There's been a whistle down the field, so a free kick is going to be taken by Tom Fullerton. We'll track it to 50. Carlton Tholstrup has got it maybe a kick and a half out from goal. He'll set it up to the top of the square. Laurie's lurking at the back. Cunningham composed, didn't panic. He put Young into a world of trouble, though. Off the ground went Cunningham, and fortune favours the brave. He picked out Jackson Binns, maybe about 8 metres, but the mark's been paid, Jem. I know you're a touch confused as to whether that did go the full 15.
I don't even think it was on the full.
Maybe not, but the umpire thought better of it. And so Carlton on the outer side of the ground. Paul, the 23rd man, he's going to keep it in. His handball ill-directed, and it's turned over. Meniz Wakefield was met by Paul, and the young man gets it back for Carlton on the half-back flank. He's got to go back over his mark, though, Joshy. I'm not sure if you've caught up with this young man, Ollie Paul. He kicked the match-winning point last week for the Bendigo Pioneers, and by all reports, his coach Luke Powers said, you've never seen anyone celebrate a behind bigger than Ollie Paul did.
Well, he's had a good start tonight. A few early touches for him from Echuca originally as well. As that one goes over and out, and will be tossed back into play.
Sounds like your kind of player, Joey, someone who celebrates a behind.
Well, we saw Keegan Gray celebrate a behind for Southport. Brooks Sheridan celebrated a behind last week for North Melbourne.
Now signed to Essendon.
Yeah, talk to us about that a bit later on, please, Jem.
I will.
The newsbreaker she is, Joshy.
Here's Laurie, and now Young got the kick away, going back with the flight courageously. There was Durden, I think it was, back up towards the middle. Tomlinson came through, just had it knocked out of his grasp though. Lemmy, clever kick, looks out wide to the run of Jackson Binns. He got a nice bounce, caresses it to Paul. Paul now at half forward, kicks into the pocket, and it was intended there for Cahill. It didn't quite get to him on the full, and out of bounds it goes.
Tony Lockett once kicked a famous point, Jem. And I think Jimmy Bartell might have done so as well.
You gave me a look before you spoke just then, and I knew something was coming.
I thought you might have brought up Plugger. Of course, you and Joshy, Sydney faithful, two of you.
Very much so.
All locked up. We might have a secondary stoppage. 40 out from goal. I think the most famous point of all, of course, lives with Barry Breen, doesn't it?
If you ask Sarah Ollie, she would say yes.
Yeah, fair enough. So Father John Ollie did a feature podcast on that very point last year on afl.com.au. You can catch up with that. On 50, it's not going too far. It's turned into just a little bit of a scrap, Gem, in the last few minutes. Repeat stoppages, which I think probably favours Casey more than it does the Carlton Footy Club. What do you reckon?
Interesting you say that, because I think Carlton has been really clean on the deck so far. It's when they've tried to go slow and use their feet to pick through Casey's pressure that they've come unstuck a little bit. So I think the run and gun for Carlton is working more in their favour, but I don't know how long they can sustain it.
Laurie was wrapped up by Ramshaw on the outer side. Brown comes in to assist, and that's going to be locked up. It's good to see a few fans on the outer side braving the conditions tonight. Ramshaw through traffic was able to extract and kick up towards McMahon, who takes a juggling mark as he was falling to ground down near the boundary line.
Lemmy's pointing to the goals.
So McMahon kicked the first goal for Carlton tonight. Sorry, Jem.
He's in good form, Joshy and Jem, so why wouldn't you back him in to have this shot and maybe
also
put it through?
Also gives them a bit of a breather for a couple of seconds
yeah,
as well,
fair,
right?
Fair, yeah.
So from the boundary line, he comes in. The kick is on its way. It's across the face. Slap back inside the field of play. Cahill round his body, goal. He was in the right place at the right time. It fell fortuitously for him, and he pops it through. Carlton have two.
Now, Josh, not sure if you saw that there, but Harry Lemmy, who immediately said, go for goal, set himself up, obviously quite tall, so knows what his position is when a teammate is going for a goal. He's actually Ethan Hughes style, but at the opposite end of the ground, tapped it back into play so that they actually had another shot at goal, rather than just allow the rush behind and reset. So it's just smart football IQ from Lemmy there, isn't it? The conscious effort to tap it back in rather than just concede the behind.
I like it. Think outside the square. And pay full tote odds, like Jack Viney last night.
That was unreal. Unfortunately,
Right
not
the
enough,
paint.
but...
Sorry to Melbourne fans for bringing that one up. And again, it's Carlton by a goal as we go back into the centre square. Early going of this contest. Cahill Got it back to Young, who wobbles it inside 50. Tomlinson on the bounce. A rush kick's going to be turned over, and Ramshaw takes it a kick and a half out from goal. He'll thump it at the top of the square. McMahon's in a 2-on-1. Ball hits the front of the contest. Steele's wrapped up straight away. And the umpire will cross the arms and ask for the Sheridan at the top of the goal square.
Gee, Marty Hoare did well there in the 2-on-1 to get it to ground.
This one will be tossed up. 5 metres out from Carlton's goals. At the back of the stoppage there was Hunter. Kicked round his body. Cleared the danger only momentarily though. Binns scrubs the kick inside. Laurie just pumps it in towards the middle of the ground. McAdam couldn't quite stick that one. Good effort though. Ball spills loose. Brown, the quick hand pass out towards Steele, who just bangs it towards the wing. Blues have the numbers though. Young had some time. He's got a Quay on short. Goes to him by hand and then just stabs the pass towards Jackson Binns, who takes the mark. Centre wing, eyes to the middle, or dangerous. And cutting through to take the mark was Seston. So Seston looks inboard. Had his runner there in Brown. Brown goes long with a kick towards Tholstrup, who takes the mark ahead of a Quay. Good running. He got back there to take the mark and will kick from the left forward pocket 30 metres out.
That's an unreal mark. The run to get there and be in that position, acknowledged that they had space in the forward line and needed some representation. But to just get there, sliding, take that mark, that was impressive.
So it looks as though he's going to run round here and try and bunt this one through. There's the shot and missing.
Now, Joey.
Yes,
hitting the post.
You know that I love pointing out when you're wrong.
Yes.
You said before Tajwa Woden is one of two father-sons out there for Casey.
Did I miss one?
Well, it's semantics.
Okay.
Technically, Lockie Hunter is a father-son selection, but he was father-son to the Western Bulldogs. But there are technically three father-sons out there for Casey today.
Okay, that's a good point you make. I'll pick you up on that one. Well played.
Josh, do you know the third one?
He should.
Just to throw him under the bus.
He should. I'll tell him if he doesn't. I'll give him a lead into it. His old man coaches old Geelong in the Ammos. Across the ground, and it's with Jackson Binns, who's had a stack of disposals early on in this contest. He braves the weather and has a bounce. A short ball is good for Marchbank, who then floats it to Poole. I'll come to Herriot in a second with the answer. Yes. Poole takes the ground in front of him and chisels it to Cahill, who just points straight at the goals. The confidence of this man in the Carlton forward line knows no bounds. He did consider very, very shortly a chip, but he went, no, I'll have the shot at goal. Who is it, Joshy boy?
Wearing the number 41.
Thank you.
Brown.
There you go, Kynan.
Kynan Brown.
That's the old man, Nathan Brown. Coaching the old Geelong boys in the Ammos. But we're on board with Ned Cahill, who's kicked a goal already. Is to extend the lead. Thumps the Sheridan towards the sticks, but it's offline and a minor score. 2-14 now, the Blues. 2-3-15, my apologies. Carlton, Melbourne, 1-3-9. We've gone 18 minutes in this first term.
Tomlinson now from fullback. The former Giant keeps that one low. And Jefferson was made to work. Moya had a teammate out wide.
Oh, great
And
kick.
now the kick from Monahan in towards the middle is a beauty.
It was Nick Blakey like the way he pulled it back into the corridor, wasn't it?
I watched a small piece on that young man, Rob Monahan,
Here we
who's
go.
a Category B rookie from Ireland.
Yes.
One of the features of his game with the round ball was his ability to kick on both sides of his body without it looking like he had a non-preferred foot.
Will White directly in front, 20 metres out, stabs it through. And Carlton now have 3 in the first quarter. Will White on the board with a goal.
I think finally now on the scoreboard, we've got an 11-point difference. We're starting to see the control that Carlton has had in this game, because for a while, both teams were sitting on 8 points, or it's a 12-point margin, I apologise, but both teams were sitting on 8 points, but it felt like Carlton had complete control in the match, but now they're actually starting to separate themselves on the scoreboard too, which is very important, Joey, for these two teams. Why is that?
Well, because they tend to slip away later in games. They're also prone to losing momentum and struggling to get it back, and we can unpack some of those numbers as this evening goes on, but this is not too dissimilar, Jem, to last week for Casey. They kicked the first goal against Williamstown 2 minutes into the game. and then conceded really late those 8 goals in the final quarter.
Yeah, they were up by, I think it was 6 points at three-quarter time and ended up losing by 32 points. So it is a worry to fall away so significantly, but Carlton has been prone to doing the same thing.
They're inside 50, but it's Billy Wilson intercepted the ball, and then he had it stolen by Laurie, whose kick's going to be turned over by Lewis Young. A little bit of ping-pong on the halfback flank between Carlton and Casey.
This is where Carlton try to control the footy, but they're always looking for the switch to the open side. If they can't, they go long to a contest knowing that they've got representation at ground level.
Well, Lemmy had to bring that one to ground with Tomlinson. Now he's doing the tackling work. And the umpire will cross the arms and ask for it on this broadcast wing. The last man up is Max Gregory in the number 57 for Casey.
Some of the leading ball winners, Jackson Binns with 8 touches now, 5 marks as well. Marshbank with 6, Nelson with 6 for the D's, Tomlinson has 6, and Brown with 5. So Fantasia tried to sell some candy, got the hand pass away, up towards Nelson on the boundary line. Was able to work with Ramshaw. Free kick though.
It's downfield, Joshy.
It's downfield.
Nelson pushed in the back after he got rid of it.
So Lemmy runs around. High half forward, pumps this one along, inside 50, McMahon the target. Spills over the back, safe hand Steele. Looks to the outer side, McAdam the target. McQuay though was there, lending support. That might have been a throw, the umpire has seen that and it's coming back towards McAdam now, who gives it off by hand to Paul. That kick not a great one though, and McQuay intercepts on the outer side for the Blues.
Casey just feels rushed, don't they? They're constantly kicking to an outnumber or just kicking directly to their opposition.
So they kick it down the line. There's a Quay. It's a 2-on-1. And Gregory takes the mark comfortably in the end. It's the switch to ground at Tomlinson. All that experience in Nous. There's no panic there. To Laurie, who stops and props on the halfback flank. Another short ball. Intercepted by Fantasia. He swings it to centre half forward from a standing start. It works for Carlton. They were just queuing up in the end. They're still going to go all the way forward. Or they may make a meal of it here on the slide, though. Robbie Monahan only just. Well, I think Lemmy just wanted to bring his teammates into the game, but probably didn't need to,
No,
Jim.
he had Orazio screaming at him to kick it forward to his teammate.
So Rob Monahan, we saw him already on the left foot just moments ago, have a hand in the last goal to Will White. And now he can kick one of his own. The Irishman has made a new home here at Icon Park. Gives Carlton their 4th goal of this contest after 23 minutes. 4-3-27 to 1-3-9. It's also important, Jem, that Carlton get off to a good start. Their first quarters, the only one that they've won this year was against Port Melbourne, where they kicked 7 goals, and Luke Power notably very happy with that, but they conceded 5.5 goals that day as well in the first quarter. The ball was just ping-ponging everywhere. Defence was not seen.
Was that their only win of the year as well?
Only win of the year it was, yes. Yeah, that shootout.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Both teams are down the bottom end of the ladder. 1 win each. Casey 18th, Carlton 20th. It's just both had a 32-point loss last week. Getting that early confidence is so important, isn't it? And this is a really dangerous-looking Carlton forward line. Every time it goes in there, it feels like something's going to happen, whereas with Casey, maybe less so.
Monahan, that's his 2nd goal for the season. Kicked a goal in round 2 against North Melbourne from the centre. Getting it clear is Carroll. Up to half forward. Manise Wakefield front position. Came off his hands and then socketed it in towards the middle of the ground. It was picked up there by Seton. Intercepted though by the Blues. Carroll looks inboard. Couldn't quite find Lemmy. Just spilt the mark at the crucial moment. Manise Wakefield to the outer side now. But cutting across. Prout takes the mark on the wing. Looks inboard. Fantasia the target. Kick too fierce for him. On the up to Binns, who lost it. Spills forward. Fullerton was in there. And now it's just a scrap at ground level. Fantasia trying to extract, umpire lurking, Stacks on the mill. And he will now intervene and toss this footy up inside the centre square.
A stack of numbers around this contest. Murkov will do the ruck work for Carlton. He'll shark the footy and just handball to space. Bounced up for Steele. Gets to his captain in white, who on the left goes inside 50. Might just skid on for Ben Brown. He's got the support down there. Aquay trying to work it out for Carlton. Brown goes off the ground. He'll end up trickling towards the boundary line, and over it goes. Matty Jefferson was lurking and looking dangerous. He's kicked the only goal for Casey in this first term. It's now ticked into the 26th minute. 4-3-27 to 139 in favour of the Blues. So Fullerton will do the ruck work here with Murkov as the umpire sends the Sharon back into orbit. In the forward pocket, Murkov slapped it back towards the boundary line. Fantasia first to gather it in. Brilliant smother. May have came off the face, though.
It did come off the face.
And it's going to be thrown in again. Just trying to pick up, that might be Roan Steele. A bit slow to get to his feet. In fact, it's Ollie Seston, but take two, Joshy, from the same spot in the forward pocket for Casey.
So this one will be tossed in. Jefferson thrown in the ruck now. Will compete alongside his opponent there, Murkov. Slapped forward, that kick hugging the line. Didn't quite stay in. Good attempt there from O'Keefe, who was rushing across, but out of bounds it goes.
So the D's have got an extra just sitting behind the play in the hole.
Murkov and Verrill bins, hand pass to Carroll. Carroll left foot kick. Beyond the wing now to high half forward. Cutting through there was Hall. Couldn't complete the mark though. Roe Woden came forward, just overshot the hand pass, goes in for a second crack, goes to ground though. Numbers favour the Blues at the moment. Lemmy caught with it though, goes to ground and lost the footy in the process as well. Hand pass came out. It's just thumped forward there by Seston. Back up towards the wing. Verrill at ground level. Slapped out towards the boundary line now. And the umpire's going to call this deliberate off the hand of Fullerton.
Have to be. Fullerton just tapped it neatly over the boundary line.
Genuine intent to get it out and get a restart of play, but the umpire awake to it. So Quay right at the interchange gates. Try and set up Carlton's fifth goal from this foray forward. Big pack of players. Cahill was smashed into by Verrill. He's had to get up quickly as Gregory spun out of trouble and got it to Steele. Beautiful, well-weighted handball to Seston. The inside-out ball for Big Ben Brown. It went through his legs. Carlton have got the numbers down in defence. It's Durden sweeping the handball backwards to Marchbank. And they can go across the ground to Cunningham. All that experience in the back line of Carlton. Marchbank wants to cut back inboard. Why wouldn't you? Will White was just standing there, and now Fantasia off to Carroll. They're queuing up, but Seston did really well. Stopped that foray forward and won back the footy for Casey. Thumped forward by Steele. Aquay's got to go back with a flight. He didn't take the mark. He's got the space behind him. Together in the Sharon, along with Durden, and Carlton can work this out without panic.
Josh, I thought that if you tried to defend and you got tackled and the ball came out, that's holding the ball, isn't it? Carlton getting a little bit lucky there, I think.
So on the wing now, here's Young. Goes to Murkov, the big fella. Tried to bust the tackle. Got the footy out though. Socket forward by Verrill. Picked up. The hand pass was flung out to Steele. Looks centrally. White. Back up towards half forward, and Brown came charging out on the lead. 50 to 60 metres out.
Having an impact, Jem. Hasn't hit the scoreboard just yet, Ben Brown, but presenting.
He's always on the move.
29 minutes gone or thereabouts. He sends this long into attack for KC. It was fisted forward. Fantasia had it knocked out of his grasp. Comes to White. Had a good look at the sticks, but a great defensive smother. Back up towards centre half forward. Kick forward there by Gregory. Inside. The kick over the back, but Bin's last line of defence takes the mark on his chest and says, boys, let's just hold up the play.
He was screaming at his teammates to just slow down and ice this clock before quarter time. He gives it everything he can, getting it out of the danger zone. Young, they might be run down. One last chance. Marchbank, clear and kick. It'll skid, bounce on its point, and Tomlinson will keep it in. He'll go in short. Gregory on the siren takes the mark. Quarter time here at Icon Park on this Friday evening. 4-3-27, the Blues. 139. The tuning herself for a big AFLW season, and she's having an absolute stellar preseason in the VFLW right now. Josh, we get this second term underway.
Underway in the middle, Murkoff with the hand pass, and now Ramshaw uses Binns out wide. That's his 12th touch tonight for Binns. Ramshaw intercepted though by White, middle of the ground, but stepping in the way, Prout. So still inside the centre square. Drives this one up towards half forward.
Oh.
It bounced kindly there for Paul, who got to 45, looked in towards the pocket. O'Keefe was there, bending down on his bootlaces, and the goal has been kicked from the pocket. And it's a good start for Carlton. They get the first of the second quarter.
Since that first couple of minutes of the game, really, Carlton has really effectively prevented Casey from getting those inside 50s. They've set up their defence beautifully to just constantly intercept, and then at ground level they're constantly applying pressure to force those turnovers as well. So that front half turnover game is well and truly on show. But how clean was it? Poole that just moved through traffic like nobody's business. In these sort of conditions, to play like that, that's a serious talent.
And Luke Power did say that throughout the week when I caught up with him, that this young man, despite celebrating a brilliant point last week in the Coates Talent League, has got some AFL attributes. And sometimes, Jem, when you're a recruiter watching these games, you just need to see that little bit that he's just shown there. Even Hudson O'Keefe, big man, nimble, wet conditions, had no real problems picking up that ball and dancing onto his right foot to kick the goals. Mitch White gets the clearance for Casey. Laurie tried to go off the ground. He'll have a second attempt from right on 50. It's an open goal square. It'll skid on, and the Casey Demons have a quick reply. And it's not an understatement, Jem, to say they absolutely needed that. Kicking the first one, Carlton kicked the next 5, and they've finally got one back.
Absolutely, and it took the experience of their captain to adapt to the conditions, to not choose to try and chip it around and miss targets. Kicked it along the ground, got it forward, gathered again, and went for goals. Probably felt a little bit flat, if anything, but other than that, Shane McAdam did really well to try and draw his defender up out of the goal square a little bit to allow it to go through as well. But a little bit of energy about Casey all of a sudden that seemed to be lacking for a lot of that last quarter.
His second goal of the season, Bailey Laurie. Kicked one in round 1. He's played the 3 senior games in 2024. That one's going to be recalled in the middle. So 2-3-15, playing 5-3-33. And it was a quick reply from Casey. Ramshaw tried to barge his way through successfully. Will be tossed up again. Murkov slapped that one down. It was picked up by Brown. It was quick.
Oof.
Skittles the kick out towards this near side of the ground.
What do you reckon that'll be,
But
Joshy?
the umpire, you could see him winding up. Deliberate. And Prout with the free kick. So just forward of the centre line. Plays on. Up towards half forward. Directs the kick towards Murkov. He couldn't quite complete the mark. Spills off the side of the pack. Cunningham now. Brings it inboard, and the mark has been taken. O'Keefe, second bite of the cherry. Kicked the first goal of the second quarter. Can have a crack here from 45 to 50 metres out on a 45-degree angle or thereabouts.
He's looking up and about this quarter, isn't he? He moved really well in the first term. Didn't quite come to him in that way, but he's looking good this quarter, O'Keefe.
Started really well this term.
So O'Keefe comes in, strikes from 48. The kick is on its way. Just faded late through the right-hand side for a minus score.
5-4-34 now the Blues. The Casey Demons 2-3-15. We've got 4 minutes in this second term as Meniz Wakefield brings the footy back in, chisels the ball beautifully into the waiting arms of Tom Fullerton on the half-back flank.
So it's this kick that Casey's really struggled with for a long time in this game.
Down the line, Ben Brown makes a contest of things. The small men of Casey going to work, although McAdam might have just thrown the footy away. It's coming all the way back to Taj Woden. off the ball. So as Gemma Bastiani mentioned during the first term, was the sub last night for Melbourne. Played some minutes in the final term. Brilliant spoil from Sammy Durden, cutting across the front, smacking it over the line.
I think he ended up with 9 touches or something. I think.
It's handy.
8 or 9, yeah.
A little bit of speed when the rain started to tumble down at the G, Joshy.
For sure.
He was on when Melbourne was up and about too.
Maybe he was the difference.
Not enough of a difference though.
Oh, well, don't say that too loudly.
Is that harsh? I mean, it's just the facts.
But Petrarca was pretty good.
5 goals, not bad.
Moya, at ground level, was wrapped up by Laurie. Spills out towards Carroll. White now for Casey. Kicks around his body inside 50. Jefferson goes up. It's built to Brown. Brown round his body. Across the face. And through for a minor score. It's a good crumb though. Couldn't quite complete the goal on that occasion.
Something we have seen Casey struggle with. They're starting to get some inside 50s, but they're not deep options. They're shallow. They're being forced to take those long kicks, or they're coming straight back out.
Durden thumps it as long as he can to this broadcast side. Hunter broke the tackle, cut a sway through them, and then on the left foot, he just set it up, and underneath it was Jefferson. Brown's there with Cunningham. Was there some front-on contact? Cunningham can't believe it. But I think to the letter of the law, Gemma Bastiani, that one's probably there.
Yes, I wouldn't argue with that one.
Now Big Ben Brown will go back for his natural run-up. Just on what you were saying about the forward line, Gem, and last night, Petrarca, 5 of the 11 goals. They just need almost someone else who's willing to stand deep in the goal square and say, kick it to me. And Van Rooyen's probably not quite ready to be that person. Harrison Petty's had a crack at it the last few weeks. This man we're seeing did it for North Melbourne for so many years. We'll see what he can do on this occasion. I'll get your take in a moment, Gem, to answer to that. From almost centre-half forward, Big Ben Brown sinks the slipper into it. It's going to go right to the line, just off to the right side and through for a minor score. What do you reckon, Gem? Is it time for Big Ben to just go back to his old ways of standing in the goal square?
Sorry to interrupt. Billy Wilson has just had a mare there, Joey, off the side of his boot, out of bounds. Sorry, continue your conversation.
No, I mean, Ben Brown has been in the side for a number of weeks this year, and I think he's performed really well. I think the problem is you can't play him and Petty and Van Rooyen. That may be part of the issue. I don't think they want to go with those 3 talls, given how much time they want Petrarca to spend forward. I think the other issue is Van Rooyen, as much as he's and I'm a massive fan of Jacob Van Rooyen, he's more of a pressure forward in a weird way. He's a tall forward, but he plays ground level football. Essentially, he comes up the ground, applies pressure. Reminds me a lot of Logan McDonald at the Swans. He's not that big-bodied player that you want playing out of the forward line like a Jesse Hogan was for them. So I don't think they actually have that.
Tholstrup from the boundary line. It's across the face. It's hit the behind post.
I don't think they have that person necessarily yet, unless a Will Verrill or a Tom Fullerton can go in supporting in the ruck and then sitting in that forward line. I don't know that they have that physical player on the list.
O'Keefe, strong presentation. Young, followed up. And now Ramshaw. To Moya, was that high? Was against Tomlinson.
I mean, unless you move a Tomlinson or a Tom McDonald back into attack, but I don't know that that's the answer to the question.
Well, I don't think Tomlinson's getting a look into the defence unless one of May and Lever go down.
Moya sends this one long, further up the line. Lemmy the target. Over the back, Tomlinson defending. Now a scrap at ground level. Umpire lurking. And paid this holding the ball, so
someone was shocked by that. We heard in our crowd mic.
Yes. Tomlinson to Hoare, and Hoare in the back line now, and the D's will try and exit defence.
Switch to the opposite back pocket, and Woden takes the ground in front of him down the line. They were pushing the back. There was The advantage, though, is going to be taken. Cross goes inside 50 at Tholstrup. Takes the mark. Now they're screaming for him to go, but this might be a slow build-up. He'll have to almost go back and have the shot at goal here, Will Carlton. He's in two minds.
McAdam was trying to get into space in the goal square, but Aquay was too smart, too quick to keep with him.
In the end, a really indecisive moment for Carlton means he's probably going to have to go back and have the shot at goal. If he does kick the goal, we're back to 10 points after 10 minutes. It'll take a really good kick. The young man gives it everything he's got. He's given it a ride, and it's gone the journey. The young man who had the best name in last year's AFL draft puts his name in lights with a big goal, Gemma Bastiani. Great kick.
For someone who didn't feel confident going from that distance, that was a beautiful kick, wasn't it? The way that he just navigated it, navigated the player on the mark rule as well, was aware of that, so to be able to go around. But that could be the spark for Casey, because as you said, they're only down by 10 points, even though it feels like they've had very little control in this game.
Well, the last few minutes, Joshy, they've probably kicked their score for this quarter, which is 2-3, and it's been camped at their end of the ground. Apart from maybe one 4-0 forward for Carlton, it's been to the left of screen.
They've maintained a lot of the possession so far in this second quarter. And that probably goal of the night so far.
Ooh, Smithy snags, according to Harry.
Snag. In the middle. And Verrill up in the ruck. White, Ramshaw. Ramshaw just ran past the footy. Brown involved. Fantasia got it at his bootlaces. Hand pass to Carroll. Ramshaw out the back. Had Binns out wide in support. Left foot kick up towards the target there, and Nelson had to bend down and get it. Goes up to Poole to Ramshaw. They've worked this methodically here, the Blues, and Ramshaw now 60 out from goal. He sends it long into the pocket. Cahill takes the mark. It just fell in his lap almost.
I think the connection between Carlton's mids and forwards has been quite impressive. They know where to put the ball. They know where their forwards are going to be. And that was an example of that. Even though it felt a little bit chaotic, Cahill read what his teammate was doing beautifully.
Just about write this one down, I reckon, Joshy, for Ned Cahill. He's a nice little goal sneak.
Now that you said that.
For the Carlton Footy Club. I'm going to write it down.
Here we go.
He's looking for his second here. He runs around now and mark it down, Joey. He's got two.
Just for those playing at home, Joey looks more smug than I've ever seen him.
Oh, not yet, Jim. Not yet. But, great kick. And like you said, that connection. The midfield of Carlton, relatively young this year and inexperienced in terms of playing games together. But the connection, and I think we talked about this on State of Play throughout the week.
We've talked about this a lot.
The coaches that we are speaking to, it's almost now the focus of every team. How can we get the midfield forward connection to end up winning a game of footy?
Yeah, because that kick is so important. It's the money-maker kick, essentially, because how the ball goes inside 50 will dictate how your forwards are playing, how the defenders choose to play, and as a result, how you are actually able to score. Because the other thing, we talk a lot about conversion in footy, and Port Adelaide being a poor conversion side and things like that. But where are they getting those shots from? How are they setting up those shots on goal? That's how the ball is going inside 50 as well.
So a goal to Ned Cahill, a little momentum breaker for the Casey Demons as they get the clearance to this broadcast wing. Laurie was strong, but he left the footy behind. Fantasia danced on a dollar as he cut back through the centre circles to Carroll, who'll go on the left foot, chisel it inside 50. Lemmy at the bootlaces was very clean. He just missed the handball that he wanted to get to, and it's going to be locked up about 30 out from goal. We've seen Hudson O'Keefe, Gem, and now Harry Lemmy, a couple of big men, go okay below the knees.
Absolutely. They've been standouts, I reckon, tonight. And I think Jack Carroll, I know that kick wasn't his best, but he's been so clean, quick hands.
So it's thrown back up. The handball just wild to space. Ramshaw couldn't gather it in cleanly. Mitch White was coming the other way. Now he's got the Sharon. The captain of Casey dumps it out of the danger zone. Aquay's in a one-on-one. Went over his head with Fullerton. Dom's first to gather it in, but went to ground, which left the door open for Fullerton. He sweeps the handball. They cross the 50 in towards Ben Brown. He's got to go back with the float. Oh, he did that well, did Big Ben Brown. And Tholstrup will smack it into the back of the net. Whack. And Casey have got the quick reply. I like that from Kai Windsor, who didn't blaze away, tried to check it, and then Big Brad Brown with the footy smarts. Almost like we saw in the first quarter from Harry Lemmy, Jem. Same sort of thing. Goal.
Yeah, I don't think Brown wanted that goal. He was actually pointing for Windsor to go for goal. But when it came to him, the way that he read it, that's experience. That's pure experience, being aware that a teammate is there, you've got someone bearing down on you. Don't take possession. That's dangerous.
Now this sort of last 6 or 7 minutes has turned into a little bit of a shootout. We've seen 3 goals in those last few minutes. Who are we favouring in a shootout?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'd still say Carlton.
Okay.
But what has been impressive is the smalls getting to work for Casey now. You know, Brown stepping up, and Kynan Brown, I mean, having a bit of an impact in that forward line. Bailey Laurie, obviously, Tholstrup.
Fantasia inside 50, Lemmy the target. Just missed him though. On the up, going to ground there was Nelson, out of side. Kick goes inboard though, inside 50. It's a very good mark there from Gregory in defence for the D's. Comes out broadcast side to Tholstrup, who kicked that previous goal. And then over the top to Steele. Steele up towards the wing, just past Fortin. Over the top, Young. Off towards Poole. Poole picked it up at his bootlaces to Binns. This will be his 14th touch of the night so far. Cuts that inboard. Carroll now takes the mark ahead of Laurie.
How composed was that from Binns?
He's looked good with the footy in his hand, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Carroll now pulls the kick towards a positive destination for now for the D's. And that one's going to be locked up.
Is there a negative destination inside 50, Joshy?
Love having a go at me, don't
Don't
you, Joey?
take his...
Every now and
Don't
then.
cop it, Josh.
He's got a great vocabulary, the young man, Handsome Dipper, as the snap from Cahill hits the stick halfway up. Wait till he starts working in flirting with the boundary, Jem, then...
You gotta... Josh is going all red now. You gotta leave this kid alone.
The superstar, young Handsome Dipper. He's got a big, bright future ahead of him.
He's so angry at you right now.
That was one of my favourites until you put the spotlight on it, Joey. Flirting with the boundary line. Manish Wakefield to the outer side. Poole, or just lost his footing, but he's got the free kick, and arm may have slipped high. So on debut tonight, Poole sold some foot candy. That was beautiful stuff. And then puts this in towards the pocket. No mark taken. Spills off the side of the pack. Hall just rammed it up towards the half-back line. Carroll had support in Marchbank. And then his kick was smothered. Back in towards the middle of the ground now. Brown able to pick it up. Just bangs it forward. There's no one home, though. It'll just roll and continue to roll. Cunningham back there first. Kicks around his body. That was crafty. And now the Blues from half-back will try and exit their defence. 41 playing 30. 18 minutes gone. This kick will go further down the line as the pack forms. Cahill captured the crumb and then with the hand pass cuts it inboard to Lemmy. Lemmy over the top, back to Cahill, who received there from McMahon. Over the line it goes though, and the umpire will toss it in.
We're nearing time on of this second term. A quarter that's been won by the Casey Demons. They still trail by 11. They trail by 18 at quarter time. Colton Tholstrup has 2 for Casey, and Ned Cahill a couple for Carlton. Brilliant hands ball from Fantasia. Got it to Ramshaw. Now to Carroll, who wants the left foot. Snaps it around his body. Awkward bounce. Bounced off the scone of Jed Adams. Towards Seston, who goes off the ground. Verrill. Thought you might have been too hot there, Big Wilbur, with the handball. It worked out okay for Max Gregory. Jefferson in a one-on-one with Young. Aquays at the front of the contest, just doing the paddling, and then was thrown into the ground. Strong tackle. I'll ask the question, but the umpire will be lenient here. And we'll have this one thrown up on this broadcast wing. It's Harvey Neocleus, the tackler, Jem.
Colton Tholstrup came to the bench getting his hand tended to. It looks like he might have bit of an injury on his hand, but nothing that'll keep him out of the game from what I've seen so far.
McQuay, front position, takes the mark on his chest at half back. Almost into time on now of this second quarter. Pulls the kick towards the Fantasia direction. Ricochet off the boot there of Verrill. Laurie, quick kick forward. Jefferson, a quiet at the back. Couldn't quite get a hand to it, and Jefferson was strong. Had Steele as his runner. Laurie back to Steele. Steele into the pocket to a vacant man. And taking the mark here is Fullerton, who was unguarded in that left forward pocket.
Rowan Steele has been brilliant today for Casey. That kick inside was, he just saw what was happening ahead of him. But just all day, he's been really, really consistent.
So Fullerton, the former Lion, will run around and bend it back superbly. So Casey now have their fifth. 6-5-41. 20 minutes gone now. And they are now 5-6-36.
Just waiting for the timekeepers and the scorekeepers to.
Yes, they're trying to confuse me, Joey.
It was nice, as you said, Jem, from Steele, because they had the open forward 50 arc, and Carlton Tholstrup earlier, despite kicking a goal, waited for it to be stacked. But with Steele doing the 1-2 with Carroll, it drew a Carlton defender up towards him, which left that space for Fullerton out the back.
Yeah, I was worried when Jefferson chose to handball on rather than kick inside 50, because it felt like they were just inviting that Carlton pressure that's been so good. But the way that both Steele and Laurie were able to work it around proved to be effective, because it allowed Fullerton to sneak out the back and get that bit of space. It's the first really clean connection we've seen from them, from those lines.
Having a good quarter. They've kicked 4 goals as Carlton get the clearance. Ramshaw to Fantasia. It was wrapped up in the tackle. Ramshaw had to go in again, met by Steele. Casey almost went back to footy. Young on the wing was strong for Carlton. Almost had it locked up. Now there's been a whistle and a free kick going the way of Casey Demons. I dare say the boys running the score sheet have either completely missed the goal, or they just dismissed it as one that went through. They haven't added it to the scoreboard yet. So
Shane McAdam coming off with a blood rule. That was his free kick, so he's had to hand the ball off to a teammate as he comes to the bench. Ben Brown, the one coming onto the field.
So Maniz Wakefield will be the man to take that kick on the outer wing. Small break in play. Just have to wait for him to completely get off the ground, which he's done now. Allows Carlton to set up in defence. So
Carlton bench yelling at defenders to make sure they're covering Ben Brown.
So Maniz Wakefield send this one into the pocket. And Ben Brown dropped what he probably should have taken in the end. He had more space than he thought.
It's essentially an uncontested mark.
A sweeping handball out wide for Laurie on the non-preferred. He wobbles it into the pocket. Durden quite happy to get it to the safety of the boundary line. We'll have it thrown in. Can they get a goal from this stoppage, Joshy? If they do, they'll be in front as we near half-time on this Friday evening to open round 7 of the Smithies VFL season.
23 minutes gone now. Would be big heading in towards the main break. Tossed in by the umpire. Brown lurking. White kicks the goal. Rove the pack superbly. Captured the crumb, and the finish was brilliant.
That's twice in this quarter where it's felt like there's been a bit of a stalemate, that it's been Mitch White that's come out and actually done something seriously damaging. His leadership is so important, and I know we talk about leadership, but it's the thing that maybe you're not doing with the footy that, you know, you can contribute. But his ability with the footy is just as damaging, isn't it, Joey?
It most certainly is. I dare say he'd be inside maybe the top 6 or 7 captains in the Smithies VFL for impact on a team, even when you don't have the ball. Like we mentioned Lockie Sullivan on State of Play. A captain of Footscray, he was an accumulator of the footy.
Yes.
To the point of 38, 39 touches was his weekly average. Mitch White doesn't need to have that many to have an impact with the Casey Demons.
Who are some others that you'd say? I'm thinking in terms of former captains, Dom Brew is an obvious one.
Yes, I'll come back to you in a moment as we restart play. In the centre square, they thump the footy inside 50. Carlton, can they get the quick reply to put them back in front? Falls to the bootlaces of Moya. Can the young draftee be quick? He may have been tugged without the Sherrod. He was. The umpire was right on the scene, and Ashton Moya will earn the free kick.
Does he kick it, Josh?
For Carlton.
I think so.
Oh, he's not confident, our young man. He didn't say write it down. We've seen many a Carlton goal kicked in the number 43 over the journey, Joshy boy.
Few people are as brusque as you are, Joey.
So Ashton Moyer, the young draftee, one of her favourites already of this football club, has just missed to the near side. And here it goes, double arm in the air. Real confidence from Handsome. But, Joshy, as we tick into the 26th minute, the scores are level here at Icon Park.
They are. Tomlinson from fullback drives this one long. Bailey at ground level, just slapped it forward. Fullerton involved. Bailey still going. And now out the back. Cunningham kicks forward, but Tomlinson front position. Marks defensively, takes the relieving mark. Looks to Hall. In the back pocket for the D's. Bailey Laurie was on short. Ignored that because Fullerton was further up the line unguarded. Hunter was his runner. Just bangs it forward. An awkward one to judge and a big contest there as well. Tholstrup goes to ground for the D's. Billy Wilson in the meantime, nice and composed, finds Young. It was Durden as well involved.
Tholstrup's got a dead arm from that contest, but he's still running as hard as he can from contest to contest. He looks sore.
He's manning the mark at the moment. Billy Wilson up towards the wing. That was heavy contact, and he's coming from the ground now. Tholstrup as well with the trainer. No,
he's refusing to come from the ground.
Stay on.
I like that.
And this one's going to be tossed in.
The confidence of the kid. He's kicked a couple of goals. He's had that hand strapped. He wants to be out there in the thick of the action. Thrown back in. Murkov went to ground. Didn't get touch on it. Here he is. That's why you want to stay on the ground. He wants to have an impact. And he gets it back from Hunter along the ground. He kicks it inside 50. Off the ground goes Seton. It might be kicking in danger.
There was a bit of action between Fullerton and Murkov after that ruck contest. Bit of a wrestling match on the ground.
Still having wasted energy bumping into one another.
Hudson O'Keefe's come in to split them up, and Marty Hoare now has to match it with Murkov, giving up some height.
Ball's going in that direction from the Billy Wilson kick. Ramshaw at the front tried to go through too. Brilliant stuff from Heathy Ramshaw, like a battering ram himself.
We heard that contact from here, didn't we?
Right at the interchange gates. The great Jackson Bin sees it go over the line. Joshy will have it thrown in.
That was terrific.
Old-fashioned footy, that stuff.
So tossed in. Murkov at the front. Bailey Laurie captured it and then just kicked around his body, but Durden stood in the way, takes the mark defensively. Quay's on short. Will ignore that option. He goes further up the line. Spills off hands. Laurie. Fullerton. Laurie again. Just shovels the hand pass out toward Brown. Nearing the boundary line. Hunter pleading his case with the umpire. That was out of bounds on the full. Umpire having none of it.
That might have been some wishful thinking there. And
so this is going to be tossed in between high half forward and the wing.
Right in front of where we're calling all the action on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. 6:42 apiece. And it goes back to where it started, at the interchange gates. And Lockie Hunter sees it over with the Jack Carroll. So we'll do it again. It's just playing out time to the main break. Both sides sitting 1-4 going into tonight. Right now they can't be split. Hunter just slapped it out of the danger zone. Mitch White, the left foot ball towards Ben Brown. Went through his fingertips. Fulton's at the back. In fact, it's Jefferson with Lewis Young. Another throw in.
Made sure not to take possession until he was close enough to the line that he would be tackled over.
They're professional the way they do that these days. Modern footballers.
Sounding like a bit of a boomer there, Joey.
Probably am. You know that I don't understand the modern world, Jem.
You really don't.
Throw back in. O'Keefe left it behind. Here's Mitch White. Another clearance for Casey. Inside 50, off the ground. A few players couldn't get to it. Verrill sweeps the handball to Brown. McAdam's back on. He got it into his path now. He snaps towards goal. It'll bounce uncomfortably for a Quay. Over the back is Lockie Young, seeing it go over the line and through for a minor score that puts Casey in front. Just before you go, Joshy, I've had a quick scan of all the captains, Gem. I reckon Mitch White might be on the podium.
You reckon?
Harvey Hooper's probably up there with him.
Yeah.
But I reckon Mitch White would be there as the most impactful skipper of the 21 VFL teams.
Wilson from full back. Tomlinson crashed the pack. Out of bounds it goes.
There's a handful in the VFLW that have serious impact on their team. And Al Chaston is the one who springs to mind straight away.
Yes, Al Chaston absolutely has played some brilliant football in the past month in particular as Essendon's gotten going. I know you want to mention Jeff Jones.
Yes, and Caitlin Bunker, who we'll see tomorrow for Darebin, back in the team.
Binns got it to Carroll. Carroll on the up. And then a strong tackle there. McAdam through traffic. Weaving his way through. High up and under kick. Brown crashed the pack and spills out. Just whacking it away there was Young towards the wing. Out of midair. Hall gathers and then just bangs it inside 50. A Quay crashed the pack. Verrill just misguided the hand pass. It was taken there by O'Keefe, who looks towards the outer side. Poole. They've got some numbers here on the outer side now, the Blues. Carroll up to half forward. The mark was spilt. And now Tomlinson to Hall. The kick back up towards the wing. Manise Wakefield couldn't take that mark. Was confronted by Lewis. But he was taken high. And so he'll take his free kick from the wing on the outer side.
Tom Fullerton is going down into the rooms. It took him a while to get up from that previous contest on the broadcast side. Grabbed at his left ankle, I think it was, and now he's limping to the rooms looking pretty dejected, which is not a good sign.
We'll try and get an update across that as the evening unfolds. But nearing half-time, Poole got it up to Ramshaw. And along the ground towards Lemmy. Carroll was very clean. He has to go back to go forward. Poole gets another disposal. The 23rd man, Tomlinson, unopposed, takes the mark. It's been a long term, 32.5 minutes. It's elapsed. Casey have got a 1 point lead after trailing by 18 points at quarter time. Thumps it to half forward. O'Keefe brought it to ground. It ends up with Poole, who gets it to Young. And the Carlton skipper wobbles it to half forward, right on the siren. They were charging into goal with Luke Nelson. And his kick ends up dribbling away from...
It's Verrill and O'Keefe in the ruck. And O'Keefe knocked that one down. Here's Fantasia. Straight out of the centre. Hand pass over the top. Off towards Nelson. And now Tomlinson for the D's. Mops up defensively. Got it to Hunter. Hunter left foot kick round his body. Up towards the outer wing. Lewis couldn't quite take the mark. It's a timely fist from behind and the umpire lurking. Will now intervene and toss this one up on the outer side. There's a whistle though.
There's a blood rule.
There might be a blood rule, and I think it's Bailey Laurie.
Yeah, and Tom Fullerton doing some run-throughs on the bench after going into the rooms late in that second quarter with what looked like a left ankle. Seems to be moving okay, but we'll keep an eye on that one.
So Bailey Laurie coming from the ground. And it's Tyler Edwards. He's been asked to come straight on and straight towards the thick of the action. Play the sweeper at this stoppage roll, and he's got it into his hands, or they're thrown into the ground by Murkov. Strong from Steele, who was one of the players Gemma Bastiani highlighted in the second term. Would he be in your top five, Gem, from a Casey Demons perspective?
Oh, he'd be in a top five from the whole ground perspective, I would say.
I like that. It's good for Mr. Steele. Up the line it goes with the kick. Off hands, Edwards. Another disposal as he slid over. Lost the footy. Fantasia went back to Carroll. Thumps it inside 50. It's a beautiful, well-weighted ball. Terrific stuff from the Blues. And Liam McMahon can start this second half the way he started the game with a shot at goal.
That was a brilliant kick. Just put it to a teammate at McMahon's advantage. by just kicking it that little bit further, getting it over the back of the Casey defenders. Brilliant kick.
Carlton haven't been all that strong in third terms, but this to give them the dream start, and 2 minutes in, give them back the lead. A lead that was 3 goals at quarter time. And across from the Pies. But he's made Carlton his home now. He kicks his second goal. He's becoming a real focal point for them this season, Jem. I know they haven't had the wins on the board, but from a goal-kicking perspective, he's going at 2 goals a game.
That's his 11th of the season. He kicked 2 last week as well in that loss to Werribee. But he just presents really well, and he is very good at getting separation from his direct opponent. So that came about because he got that separation, so the space behind that row of defenders opened up in such a way. It was just really smart ball use, and probably the cleanest ball movement we've seen from Carlton since very early in that second quarter.
He kicked their first goal of the game as well. So back in the middle, Farrell knocking that one down. Tholstrup. And now White from the centre. Drives this one long into attack. Brown! Right over the top.
I'm close to changing my perspective on Mitch Brown from I went top 6.
Mitch Brown, Mitch White.
Mitch White, my apologies. Ben Brown, that is. Mitch White, top 6, onto podium. He might be the number 1 skipper in the VFL, Jim. The impact he's having.
From 2 quarters of football.
He's having a good impact.
So Ben Brown hasn't kicked a goal tonight so far. Will come in and strike from 40 metres. Slide angle. The kick is across the face. What a score.
Josh, I did say to you when we were watching them all warm up that his radar's not on tonight. I watched him kick 3 or 4 set shots during the warm up and missed every single one of them. So maybe it's just one of those nights that doesn't quite work for him.
Radar broken, according to Gemma Bastiani. Wilson goes into the pocket for Young.
Talk about hyperbole, Joey.
Well, that's what you're saying. You're just saying it in a roundabout way. Just get to the point. The radar's broken for Big Ben Brown. Off hands. This one's going to be locked up on half forward.
I think what I said was it might be an off night for Ben.
Okay. Well, I'm reading between the lines. Radar broken. 6-8-44 to 7-6-48. Tell you what, though, Jem, if he can get it right, they're going to be tough to beat in the run home here because he's had plenty of looks at it, and he might get another one as it goes back inside 50. In his direction, he's got it! Can he hear what Gemma Bastiani's been saying and point up to the box and say, Radar, back on? Let's see. What I like, though, Jem,
here we go.
If we can be serious for a moment, is despite the fact that he has got 3 behinds, he hasn't stopped presenting since the first minute of the game.
No, and that's what you know you're going to get from Ben Brown every game he plays at whatever level it's at.
It's that very long run-up. He's taken this 40 out from goal. He's going to start from the wing and cruise on in. He starts a walk into a trundle, into a trot. He crosses the centre square. He crosses the 50. He shoots. And the radar is broken. That's another behind.
It is a frustrating night for him because he, as you said, he's been doing so much right. He just can't quite get that last little bit working for him.
So Jackson Binns with the ball in hand now. Directs the kick to the outer side. Beautiful pick up there from Cahill. The half volley. They work their way to the wing now. Marshbank to half forward.
No one read that ball.
Then he had to bend down. Spilt to Hall. Tackled as he kicked it. Fantasia. Weaved his way through traffic. Gets to 45. Has a ping. And McMahon is back there. And it was swatted out of his hands by Woden over the line. And a minor score.
How calm was Orazio there? No one came at him, so he just kept moving.
I was also impressed by Woden's ability to not give a free kick away.
Yeah.
Going back against the grain.
He's one that has definitely felt like he's taken a step up this year. I know that he's kind of flirting with that main AFL selection, was obviously the sub yesterday. But the way he goes about it in a new position at half back, he's been really impressive this year.
He's grown in confidence especially just being on the list for the last 12 to 24 months as Carlton go back inside 50. This one goes off hands through the legs of Tomlinson. Steele wrapped up straight away. The umpire's having a real good think about it just in the background. He crosses the arms and will ask for it back. So it's in a spot that's dangerous for the Carlton Smalls. They've got a 4-point advantage early going of this third term. It's one down and cleared by Casey. Thumps it to the halfback flank. It's a 3-on-1 as Jefferson couldn't take the mark. Ben Brown did well, picked the pocket of Lemmy, sweeps the handball backwards, ends up with Moniz Wakefield. His handball's intercepted. Marchbank went off the ground to Cunningham. It's on 50 with Paul. There's been a whistle.
High contact.
Now, well, downfield, but just a metre. And so Cunningham on the half-forward flank. We'll have to kick it into a stacked forward 50 arc. Look for Liam McMahon, who walks into the pocket. Cunningham thought to step around the man on the mark, and then from 50, he fires at the goals. It goes off hands and through for another behind. It's an even 6 points. No 5 points now as we go 8 minutes into this third term.
Now, Josh, I have a question for you.
Far away.
If you were a coach, how would you feel about players taking those shots? Because we've seen 2 from Carlton there that have been spoiled on the last line because they've been in no man's land. They don't go through, but they also don't give a teammate genuine opportunity to take a mark and have a good shot on goal. How do you feel about, in that position, what should that player be doing?
In that particular position, I mean, he almost could have run a little further, but he did have players free at the top of the goal square as well. It is a wet night, though. So maybe that potentially may have impacted his thinking.
Yep.
Ball on the outer side. Laurie flicks the hand pass to Hunter. That one along the ground. The umpire deliberate.
So Fullerton's still just waiting to come on the ground. We're nearly 9 minutes into this quarter, and he's just waiting, trying to keep warm so he can come back on. So he looks ready to go.
Jackson Binns. The Sheridan in hand. He's been busy tonight, as he always is. Puts them into attack, but the kick falls short, and Hall able to rush across and take the mark defensively.
Time for think music for Marty Hall. What song do you reckon he'd be playing in that think music?
Something good.
Okay. Just feel free to give it a name, Jen. There's Bailey Laurie down the line. Hunter marked in amongst 4 navy blue jumpers on the outer side of the ground. Moniz Wakefield as he brings the Sharon back inboard. Lemmy stands the mark. And he runs past him, sweeps the handball to Hunter, who's run himself into trouble, and pull.
High contact.
Got him high. So a second chance for Lockie. Go short to half forward with Laurie, who's back on the ground after the blood rule to start this third term. Inside 50. Jefferson brought the footy to ground. Ramshaw wants to come to the fat side of the ground. Not a great kick. Woden left it behind. Crosses there with a Quay. Lurking is Edwards. Young, the skipper, tried to get it to the boundary line. Helped over by Woden and Ramshaw. And we'll have this one thrown in. Dangerous spot if you're a Carlton defender or a sneaky small forward of the Melbourne Footy Club.
Casey Demons Footy Club?
My apologies, Casey, yes. People know who we're talking about.
Toss back into play. Tholstrup just through his hands. Seston now. Coming through there was Cunningham. Was strong and cool amongst all the panic. His kick, though, has been cut off by Marty Hall. 80 metres out from goal. Pulls the trigger and looks short. Brown was leading. What a great kick in the end, and over the line it goes.
Brown and Shane McAdam were leading to the same spot, so McAdam left that for Brown to go for it, but probably it should have been the other way around. But as the player behind, you can see what's unfolding in front of you, and you're the one that calls yourself out of it.
So it's thrown back in. Verrill off the ground, kicked it into the guts of Tholstrup. Carlton, though, not bothered as he throws his body in. That's a wild kick by Ramshaw, out of bounds on the full. And Marty Hall. Another chance to send Casey inside 50. The short option in Woden on. Marty thought better of it. take the ground in front of him and set it up to the pocket. It's a 3-on-1. Jefferson, Brown. At the front is McAdam. Strong was Shane as he came bursting through. Locked the footy up. 25 out from the Casey goal.
Joey, is he someone you think Melbourne looks to spark something in that forward line at senior level?
Geez, that's dynamic, isn't it? With Keziah Pickett down there as well.
Well,
the
with him
them
spending more time in the midfield, maybe there is a space for Shane to come in.
Ramshaw to Fantasia. Ramshaw kept running. And then had no one to go to, so he just puts the ball to space. Picked up here by Monaghan, who comes in ball with a kick. Spills off hands. Manise Wakefield back there. Nelson there as well for the Blues. Socket off the ground. Down towards the boundary line with Cross. And he's happy to see that one over.
Was almost perfect for Monaghan, wasn't it? The kick just needed to be a little bit flatter, so it didn't sit in the air for as long. But the idea is right, and it's really exciting to watch. He's reminding me a little bit of the way Ola O'Dwyer plays at AFLW level. Those cross kicks back in, that vision, so they see how things are playing out really, really well.
Hayley Laurie going to ground, tackled by Billy Wilson. Verrill sweeps the hand pass out, intercepted by Binns. Kicks it forward, McMahon just through his hands. And the D's defence under a fair bit of pressure now. Hunter. Received there from Moody. And then a high up and under kick, and that's been marked brilliantly there by Verrill.
So Fullerton's back on the field, by the way. He's gone straight into the forward line.
It was a great mark by the man in the number 28. Plucked it out of the sky. And Cunningham closing quickly. A project player, isn't he, Will Verrill, given they've got a man who's probably on his way to a 7th All-Australian, Guernsey and Max Gawn.
Well, if you ask Sarah Black, he's the next in line.
Well, he has to be, doesn't he?
Well,
they did ship Brodie Grundy off to Sydney.
I guess Fullerton is the other one that's there as a ruck option. But if you ask Sarah Black,
all right, I'll ask her.
All aboard the Will Verrill train.
We'll speak to her on Monday. AFL.com.au about Will Verrill. Put it on my notes. This one goes off hands.
Could we have a guest on the pod just for that opinion?
Yeah, we can pre-record a chat with Sarah, which you can pick up on State of Play every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Subscribe, Gem, and you won't miss a moment of it.
So, question, Joey. If I'm on the podcast, would I be missing it if I don't listen back?
Yes,
okay.
Because it's really well edited after you say certain things. Here go the Blues as they get the clearance. The handball, though, was a wild one. Thrown into the ground. Here was Ned Moody, who funnily enough goes by the nickname Paul, because the great Jimmy Munro got his name wrong when he introduced him to the rest of the Casey Demons team and called him Paul, and it stuck. Slight error from the great Jimmy Munro. So Paul Moody. Here's Lockie Young intercepting in front of Lockie Hunter.
Josh, what wrong names have you been called? I'm sure they're all by Joey.
Yeah, by handsome dipper. Young down the line with the kick. Murkoff sits underneath it, fisted away from Tomlinson. Cahill had a crack. Ball's on the deck. Trying to bust through is the captain of the year, Mitch White. He did well, and they get the handball out. They can clear through Tyler Edwards.
They do. Middle of the ground now. Quay. Fullerton. Great hand pass. Tholstrup was run down, though. Spills to Young now. Had support in a Quay. And then zigging and zagging. It goes out wide, and Jackson Binns takes the mark.
I've called Josh Mitch once. Reading a piece of paper and looked straight at him and called him Mitch.
I remember that.
Called him Simon once.
Sounds like you're a terrible friend, Joey.
A shocking friend.
Cunningham roved it well.
Back me up, Josh.
I'm trying to call a play, Joey.
He's focused on the game.
My goodness. Nelson now. Ramshaw. You're going to set me off again. Ramshaw. 80 metres out from goal. Drives it long towards the pocket. The pack forms. McMahon. Off hands out of bounds.
It was the right kick going to that pocket. McMahon had found space. He was the tallest man in the pack as well. Just didn't quite read it. Got under it a little bit, but another stoppage here is a good opportunity because we have seen Carlton really dominate that ground ball inside 50.
So thrown back in. O'Keefe down towards Fantasia. Just fumbled it. Cahill had a crack. Hunter wrapped up by Orazio. The umpire stops and props and then asks for it. So a secondary chance for the Carlton Smalls.
Carlton are really well set up behind the play here as well. So they're focused on dominating territory, trapping it in, and putting a lot of pressure on that Casey defence. Have done it as well.
A whistle and a 50-metre penalty going against the Carlton Footy Club, which means they can just ease the squeeze ever so slightly, Joshy, after 17 minutes of play at 7-8-50 Carlton, 6-9-45. The Casey Demons, the only goal this term, to the Blues from Liam McMahon.
So Verrill now over the top. You got the vacant man in Edwards. Edwards now drives Casey long into attack. Over the back. And getting the kick away Marshbank. Clears the danger, but not for long. Intercepted there by Steele. Comes in ball with a kick. Windsor. Now Edwards again. Point of the centre square for Casey. Into attack once more. The kick not great. Off the hand of Ramshaw. Bailey Laurie got the hand pass away. Stolen away though by Fantasia. His kick though, ill directed. Tomlinson eyes to the middle. It was a dangerous kick. It'll work out though because Woden just took the mark. His kick also dangerous. Binns came across to intercept. Takes a bounce. There's no one forward of him. Takes a secondary bounce. Runs the kick inside 50. It's rolling up towards the top of the goal square. Getting back there is Woden, who goes towards the pocket with the kick. And then socket off the ground. Coming through there, Cahill. Cahill still going, trying to pick it up. Down towards the boundary line. He sockets it off the ground, out of bounds on the full. And so, another opportunity here.
Just wasn't the right choice from Binns going inside. He either needed to keep running, so whether he was too tired to do that, or he needed to put it to the pocket because that's where Cahill had space from the Casey defender. In the end, it felt like he half went for the goal, half just tried to put it out in front of Cahill, and it just didn't quite work.
So Tomlinson takes it to the outer side of the ground, and Hunter, he goes off the ground himself. It's a nice pickup, clean from Fullerton. Back inboard for Windsor, chisels it to Brown. And Big Benny's going to have another shot at goal. He's yet to strike a major. 4 behinds so far tonight. But he's been the focal point the Casey Demons have looked towards every time they've gone inside 50. He just needs to finish the good work and give Casey back the lead as we tick into time on of this third term. Doesn't change his run-up or his approach into goal. Does Big Ben. So many times he's stood on the runway and done exactly what he's about to do. Puts the Sharon on its way. This time the radar is gun barrel straight. Ben Brown has his first. Casey Demons have got their 7th. And they take back the lead, Joshy, as we tick over 20 minutes of this third term.
Oh, Josh didn't want to talk there. Okay, that's fine. That was important in terms of getting back in touch. It felt like the game was a little bit...
What's changed, hasn't it?
Lackadaisical in that no one felt really potent in attack. You know, kicks going inside were a little bit misdirected, or we saw a number of set shots from Casey, inaccurate set shots. That feels like it's getting Casey back on track, if that makes sense, Josh.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Gemma. Expert analysis from your good self. Some of the leading ball winners, Jackson Binns with 21 touches, Tomlinson with 20. Back in the middle, good game tonight down here at Icon Park. Ramshaw with the footy in hand. Goes short, but Laurie intercepts. Travel the required distance, says the umpire. So Laurie looks out wide to Hunter. The former dog marks. 80 out from goal. Goes long with a kick. In towards the pocket. McAdam tried to elevate himself. And a big tackle there from Jefferson. Forces the stoppage in the pocket. Umpire required. Tosses the ball up. Toe poked forward there by Brown. Bins again. His kick was smothered by Brown over the line. And this one to be tossed in.
So it's a stacked forward 50.
Marty Hall has been getting his right calf looked at for the better part of this quarter. He's stretching it out on the boundary at the moment after getting a very long massage on it. But should he be ruled out of the game, it would be a disaster for Casey.
Thrown back in. Jefferson's at the front of the contest. Fullerton lurking.
Oh.
Was there a high tackle in there? Umpire was initially on the wrong side of it, but non-officiating umpire was able to pick that one out for Young. And across the ground to Binns. Influential in the first half was Jackson. Tried to get to McMahon, who may have jumped up before acceptance as he dropped the ball. Moody sees it over the line on the outer side of the ground. Marty Hall, one of those players who's come back into the side today. There were 5 changes for the Casey Demons, 6 for Carlton, 14 AFL listed players at the Blues tonight, 15 for the Demons, all vying for their opportunity to get into the ones. Out of that stoppage, the kick goes, ball hits the deck. Sweeping onto it was Cunningham, went back to Binns. Right foot snap round his body. Out towards Paul, who sees it go over the line, and we'll have this one thrown in again. We've gone 23 minutes. We're back to where we were at half-time, Joshy. A 1-point ball game in favour of Casey.
We sure are. Heading in towards the final change as well. This one to be tossed in between wing and half forward. Fullerton up in the ruck alongside O'Keefe. Ramshaw worked it forward to Binns. Long left footer, just inside 50. Lemmy trying to get a hand to it at ground level now, trying to burrow his way through. Ball comes out, spills loose, socket forward. Nice, Wakefield, his tackle is high. So the free kick going the way here of Will White, who kicked a goal in the first quarter and will now shoot from 40 metres out slight angle.
Does he kick it, Josh? Just to put you on the spot again.
I think he does. He's a sharp shooter.
Yeah.
He's kicked 9 goals, or 10 goals now for the season. He kicked 3 in round 4 in their win against Port Melbourne. He comes in. That's across the face. Minor score.
It was a good-looking kick, though, wasn't it?
It was a good-looking kick. Nice direct approach into goal.
We love that.
Got some AFL attributes, according to the coach, Luke Power. We have seen a bit of it throughout the early part of 2024. Tomlinson thumps it as long as he can in the Brown direction. It was fisted away from him. Tholstrup doing the roving on hands and knees. A beautiful sweeping handball to Seston. Ollie goes up and down the chimney. It carries 40 metres. It was fisted away from Verrill. Billy Wilson was clean. Takes it to the outer side of the ground. Brilliant mark. Taken here by Ollie Poole, who sweeps onto the left foot for Ramshaw. He's kept his feet. Ball bounced away from him, but he was able to gather it in. They cut back inboard from Binns to Poole. Ramshaw ran past. Ollie decided to go on the left foot into the pocket, and McMahon takes it on the chest. And he'll do what he's done already, you would suspect, and have the snapshot aiming to kick his third.
McMahon has been owning that pocket there all day. He's been able to create space. Teammates have drawn defenders out of it, and he's led into it.
So go to the regulation check side on the right. Liam McMahon. Hit the stick, and it goes wobbling down at the Legends stand end. 7-10-52 to 7-9-51. Carlton take a 1-point advantage. A margin that's not foreign to them, Jem, in the last 24 hours.
You're just trying to drive the knife into the back of all those Melbourne supporters watching, Joey.
Maybe.
I see what you're doing.
Maybe.
Marty Hall from fullback looks to the outer side. Jed Adams, his target, went through his hands. Young. Now Cahill gets it on the boot. Up towards the Lemmy direction. Spills over the back.
Second ball on the field.
Second ball still on the field.
Oh, boy.
2 footies. Jed Adams able to gather. Kicks up towards the wing and finds McAdam. takes the mark on his chest on the outer wing. Assessing his options. Goes to Hunter in the end. Hunter on the outer side, plays on. Swings the kick slightly inboard. Brown the target. Spills off hands.
Oh.
Tholstrup kicks inside 50. And they've got Neocleus, who drills that one from the pocket. And Casey now have their 8th.
Josh, was it you at half-time that said off mic that Neocleus hasn't done a lot yet? And now you've manifested him kicking a very important goal going into the
Big
last
goal.
quarter, because I think this game ultimately will come down to who can throw off that brand of falling away in fourth quarters. Going into the final quarter with a lead, no matter how narrow it is so important to confidence. And that was a pretty impressive goal under pressure too.
We kicked the first goal last week, did Harvey.
Harvey's a good name too.
Harvey, yes. Great name. Sneaky around goal. He's a danger small forward for this Casey side, Jim.
As we've just seen.
Right on show. They take back the lead, closing in on three-quarter time. 8:09:57 to 7:10:52. As you mentioned, Jem, in final terms, as we have a restart here, 12 goals to 3 in the last 2 weeks against the Tigers in Williamstown. It's not a strong suit of the Casey Demons. But if they could go in with an advantage at three-quarter time, it'll hold their coach's message, Taylor Whitford, in really good stead as Ramshaw gets the clearance and they go inside 50. Just went over the head of McMahon. Into the pocket it goes towards the boundary line and Binns. Quite happy to see it head over with Jed Adams.
Been really impressed with the way the Casey defence has stood up as well. They've been under a lot of pressure all game. Early in the piece, it felt like Carlton was really dangerous every time they went inside 50, but that's been pretty much neutralised in the last quarter and a half. Carlton's forced to go wide, shallow, inside 50. The set shots they have had have been inaccurate.
Well, Carlton are going to get the clearance here from Binns. The top of the square, it's a one-on-one. That's a brilliant mark. Reeled it in. Did my man Liam McMahon. Terrific grab, Jem. He was tucked up in a one-on-one with Tyler Edwards and it just stuck into the mitts.
He's been the best key forward on the ground, hasn't he?
He certainly has, from the dangerous point of view, of being able to hit the scoreboard too. 2 goals, 1. And this will put Carlton back in front at three-quarter time. He's looking for 3. He'll now take as much time as he absolutely needs to. Liam McMahon. A steady, casual approach into goal to the Legends stand end. On its way. Oh, he snuck it right. Frustration on his face as we go into the final change. 4 points separating Casey and Carlton.
Margin.
Great win from the Scray. We'll talk about that on State of Play next week. In a word, yes or no, can Casey win from here?
No,
Okay.
but
Joshy?
maybe.
Final quarter
Shocking word.
underway. And here's Carroll. Whistle on play, though. It's coming back to White,
You get all those
I believe.
analysis and assessments, Joshy, on State of Play, that kind of insight.
I don't like being narrowed down to one word.
Real fence-sitting sort of stuff.
So the kick inside there from Steele. Binns with the hand pass. And now Prout gets it on the boot. Up towards this broadcast side. Hunter tracked it back towards the boundary line. And now he gets it back from his teammate there in Steele, who got it back from Hunter into the pocket. And now Jefferson the target. Brown roved it well. He just bellied the ball though. And it's been marked in the opposite pocket there by Moya, who was charging back with a flight. And now he goes over the top. And Billy Wilson takes the mark defensively.
So in the back pocket, Moya, Wilson, Carlton's 2 top picks from last year's national draft. Wilson got around his opponent on the mark and then turned the kick over. And so Marty Hoare, who's back on the ground, got that calf strapped, Jem, during the three-quarter time break. Attended to, but back on the field, which is great to see. Inside 50, there's a whistle. I think Ben Brown might have been held off the play. So Big Ben has a big moment here, Jem, to extend that margin in the first 90 seconds of the final term from 4 points to 10. An important moment in the game.
Absolutely. That clearly his ability to lead at the footy, even though his radar's been a little bit off, has worried those Carlton defenders.
Kicked 1 goal, 4. His last shot at goal was the major. He can extend Casey's lead to their biggest of the night, which would be 10 points. Early going of this final term. Regulation approach from Benny. Into goal, near side. It's keeping them in the game right now, the Carlton Footy Club, the amount of chances that the Casey Demons have had. 8-10, 58 to 7-11, 53.
Wilson from fullback hits up Lewis. And now Lewis, oh, not a great kick at all. Brown intercepts. And now Brown looks up into the pocket. Ben Brown the target. Had to bend down at ground level. McAdam tackles Young over the line. And I'll get a stoppage inside their forward half. Not a great kick though. Trying to exit their defence from Lewis.
And a few of those from Carlton, haven't there?
So tossed in. Fulton just caught at the back. Murkov knocks it down. Tholstrup tracking the footy. Here's Lewis again. On the up to Young. Moyer out of side. Moyer to Binns. And then Binns up to the wing. Beautiful kick to McMahon. McMahon over the top to White. And Will White inside 50. Monahan the target. Lemmy. Lemmy over the top to Carroll. Carroll snapping and goaling. Great team goal from the Blues. And a big goal to start the final quarter.
Up on the wing there, as soon as Carlton got that really neat kick from Binns, just had to wait a moment. And the reason he had to pass off to a teammate before going inside was because Carlton had pressed so many players up to support their defence that, yes, as soon as they did win the footy, they were on their bikes trying to get forward. But that little bit of extra time that the stop, prop, handball to the receiver allowed meant that even if the first mark wasn't taken inside 50, they had representation at ground level to actually have a second or third crack at it if needed, which is exactly what happened. So it was really smart play on that outer wing by the Blues.
And Jackson Binns now up to 31 touches as well for the game.
It's been very good.
Averaging 26 this, or 25.8 this year.
I think he might have been a late inclusion to the AFL side only a couple of weeks ago, Jackson Binns.
For his debut, wasn't it?
It was.
What a way to debut. We've seen a couple of players that happen too. Kelty Lafau had that happen.
Oh, don't forget Logan
Morris.
What a story. Only 6 days to go. Carroll, the latest goal kicker. That's why you leave them on the ground. They get straight back into the action. Free kick to Will White, who's probably just beyond his measure, I reckon. On the outer side of the ground here at Icon Park.
Bit of movement inside 50 for him.
He'll set this one up into the pocket. Lemmy presents and clunks it in front of Tomlinson. And he can wheel around the big man Lemmy and extend this 1 point margin out to 7. A handy ball game on our hands. These two sides are relatively evenly matched across the board, and it's so on the scoreboard as well, as Lemmy prepares to run around, snap into goal from the pocket. It's a wonderful kick from Harry Lemmy. And Carlton have got the first 2 of the final quarter in a couple of minutes too. They took back the lead just moments ago, and now they're extending it.
It's just that ability to be patient when needed and move with the modes of the game. I just spoke in the previous goal about that moment's patience on the boundary, on the wing, allowed that opportunity inside 50. That one was exactly the same. Allowed a little bit of movement inside the forward 50, allowed for that pocket to open up and for Lemmy to lead into it. So it just reminds me a lot of the Melbourne AFLW side last year, creating genuine high percentage shots on goal because you're willing to be patient, willing to provide it to another another teammate, create those marks inside 50, move it around a little bit. Sometimes you can get yourself into trouble by not taking your opportunities because you're trying to move it around too much, but I think Carlton's found a good groove there.
So the Blues by 7 points. Back in the middle, Carroll. Here's Bailey Laurie, though. Extracts the footy inside 50. Beautiful, well-weighted ball, and floating across was Ben Brown.
I was just about to say, you're only going to get so many chances at goal, and he's had 6 of them, Big Ben. 1 goal, 5. He kicked the first point of the quarter, and they've kicked the last 2, Carlton, since that shot at goal. This has to go through. I mean, there's no other words that you can say, Joshy boy. It's just got to go through the middle now.
It does.
He's got to pick something out behind those goals.
No angle to speak of as well. Kicking down towards the Legends stand end of the ground. Off his traditional long run-up. Ben Brown comes in and he nails it.
He's up and about too. The nicest man in football.
What do you base that on?
Knowing him.
He is a lovely man.
He's the nicest man in football. It keeps this game really interesting. Back to 1 point again. As you've said multiple times, Joe, it's the margin from last night. We love a close finish. But I think the thing that we've seen so far this final quarter is that these teams can play 4 quarters of good footy. They just haven't shown it yet this year, have they?
Only in fits and spurts. And both of them have shown it against Port Melbourne, incidentally enough.
Unfortunately for Port Melbourne.
For the Borough, who is another team that has battled to play the full 4 quarters. They're both individual wins. I saw Carlton the week before that win against Port Melbourne against Collingwood take them right to the last minutes and going down by a point. But you're not wrong, Jem. They can play out the full 4 quarters. And Casey are wobbling it inside 50 again. McAdam kept his feet. Wilson was clean. The thump forward from Fullerton was smart, but Aquay was there. He just put it along the ground. Tried to get it to Moyer, who was wrapped up by McAdam. Was there an opportunity for Ashton to get rid of it? The umpire, well, he was propping and stopping as if there was. And then thought, maybe I'm being a touch tough. So we'll have this one thrown up in the pocket.
It's a vicious tackle from McAdam as well. He really wants to win this.
So tossed up near the boundary line. Verrill, strong tackle there. Billy Wilson over the top. Aquay intercepted from the boundary line. And it's just been helped over there by Marshbank.
Scores level, Joshy.
Scores are level.
We have our second draw of the season possibly on our hands.
You know I love a draw, Joey.
I don't know how or why.
Controversially.
So here's Young. Short to Binns.
You a fan of the draw, Joshy?
Yes. I think we've had this discussion,
We
Gemma.
did have this discussion when we were calling.
A few weeks ago.
Oh, we were in Canberra and then
when
you went to Colac.
we flew to Canberra, yep. Jefferson, high up and under kick. Up towards half forward. Young crashed the pack and then got it towards Prout. Binns off a step towards the wing. Lemmy got a fist in there. Ricochet up towards the middle of the ground. Hand pass over the top to Tomlinson. And now Manice Wakefield gets it on the boot. Tomlinson direction. Brown picked it up. Got it to Hunter. Went to ground. May have copped a knee to the head for his troubles. And he'll receive the
contact below the...
Contact below? Or what's happened there? Maybe a high contact? I don't know, but he's got the free kick.
The umpire signalled contact below the knees, but then gave it the other way.
So he'll send it inside 50 regardless. The mark not taken by Jefferson. He was too hot getting over the shoulder over Quay. And Dom will get the free kick and kick it to Binzi, who's having a good night. Here's Jackson, 33 disposals. And a nice ball for Murkov. What a story this man is, playing C-grade football in the Amos for old Ivanhoe. Had that horrific heart problem last year, and great to see him back out there in the space of 12 months. Working his way to a possible AFL debut. Thumps it down the line, goes the captain Young. Lemmy's in a one-on-one as the ball hits the ground. Maniz Wakefield went for Brown. Nelson got it to Fantasia. On 50, the snap from Cahill will wobble inside 50. It goes past White. Went off the boot of McMahon, who's back in after it is Fantasia. White's lurking. In fact, both Whites, Will and Mitch. Down the line goes the kick from the Casey Demons defence. It might come back. It's a touch scrappy, a touch fumbly. Ben Brown wraps up the captain of Carlton, Young. And the umpire blows the whistle to put a stop to this. Says I'll have the ball just outside the 50-metre arc for the Blues.
So tossed up. Murkov slapped it down. Monahan kicked around his body. Travelled along the ground though. Ramshaw tried to pick it up. Just ran past the footy though. Follows up with the tackle. Lemmy at ground level assists. And it's been locked up.
Joey, is there anyone from here, non-AFLW, AFL listed players that you think might be in conversation for the mid-season rookie draft coming up? Or have I put you on the spot there too much?
I'll come back to you.
So the Demons under a fair bit of pressure now. Jed Adam over the top now. The hand pass comes out to Brown. Brown to Tomlinson. Tomlinson to Hunter. Had to brace as he hand passed that one. Now along the boundary line.
Oh, that was good.
Windsor inboard. Clever kick. Bailey Laurie, eyes to the middle. There's a couple of players there for the D's, and they're lining up here. Gregory looks up towards half forward. Woden just built the mark, but had great composure to hit up Tholstrup, who takes the mark. And now he looks to Ben Brown, who takes a sliding mark. And will kick from 40 metres out.
I've been loving Colton Tholstrup's game today. He's copped a few heavy knocks. He's had to have that hand looked at. Had a bit of a dead arm after a contest, but he just never stops running, does he, Josh?
No, he's been involved in a lot of the play tonight and kicked a couple of goals himself.
Yeah, he's just one of those forward connecting players, kind of like Cade Chandler at AFL level.
What about this man who can have an actual final say on this game? He's looking at 3, Joshy, from 8 shots at goal.
So Ben Brown comes in, only a slight angle. Will strike from 40 metres and across the face. And a minor score.
He's put him in
and
front.
There's someone down there right on the goal line.
Holding
and
a knee.
Not looking all
holding
too
a
good
knee
at
and
the moment.
punching the
I just
ground.
can't quite establish who it is.
It might be
Fullerton. Yeah.
That ankle, perhaps. Keep an eye on it, Jem. It's back at the ranch where the footy is. It's Murkov sending it down the line to a 2-on-1. Maniz Wakefield went back to Moody, who kicked it up and down the chimney. Murkov, tallest man there at the interchange gates. He takes the mark. An update in a moment from Josh and Gemma on Fullerton as it goes to half forward with the ball. O'Keefe was in a 1-on-1. Fantasia got it on 50. Oh, brilliantly run down by Mitch White. And Orazio might have hurt himself in that contest. Terrific from the skipper of the Demons.
Fullerton's waved away the trainers and is alone inside forward 50.
Well, if it gets down there, will be interesting to see how he goes.
Lemmy coming from the ground as well, and Fantasia with the trainer also.
All right, so there's a bit happening.
My goodness.
You'll need eyes everywhere. Where the Sharon is, it's in the waiting arms of Kai Windsor. He'll go into the pocket, look for Brown. The ball's been intercepted. And Carlton will take it through Marchbank across the ground to Moyer. Tholstrup was closing, but Ashton was awake to it, took the mark.
Orazio is fine and inside 50 in a 1-on-1 against Marty Hoare.
Carroll goes to the outer side and Poole takes the mark. I've been impressed with Poole so far on debut.
Certainly.
Fullerton staying out there but not moving well at all.
Poole drives this one up towards half forward. O'Keefe comes out, takes the mark on his chest. Looks in ball with a kick. Is ill directed though. White cuts across for the D's. Had plenty of time to find Hunter, who marks in the back half. Now Hunter to fullback.
Fullerton coming from the ground on his own steam now, but running quite lamely.
Moody now. Runs it out of defence, kicks up towards the wing. Marchbank. Good mark. Wilson, it's a dangerous kick. McAdam closing. Wilson having to take the mark though. Looks into the pocket. Hunter spoils that one in the pocket and goes back in after it again. Fantasia just rolled past him. Comes out to Young again. And now Carroll, can he snap round his body? He can, but it pulls up short. And it's been thumped over the line for a behind.
So the scores are now level again. Another blood rule. Jeez, it's busier than Burke Street on the bench at the moment, Jem. This time it's Adam Tomlinson having to come from the ground.
Has been a very physical game, especially in the second half, hasn't it?
It certainly has. And Orazio comes off. I dare say he'll be all good. Harry Lemmy's currently down there doing maybe a concussion test of some sorts.
Yeah, he was grabbing at his face when he was first brought off. And they are just having a chat to him now.
So it's Meniz Wakefield who'll do the kicking in duties for the Demons. Runs his full measure, brings it to this broadcast side, a one-on-one. Jefferson and Moody ended up spoiling one another. And Hunter seeing it go over the line. This one will be thrown in. About the half-forward flank for the Blues. 9-12, 66 apiece, 17 minutes into the final term. Hope you're enjoying all the action on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. Thrown back in. Murkov won it down. White, who's willed himself to every contest, cuts a sway through them. This captain goes inside 50, goes over the head of Brown. It's McAdam in a one-on-one. Brilliant pick-up from Shane. Brilliant smother from McQuay. Terrific from the Blues defence. They stand tall at the crucial moment, and they're going to win the day with Poole.
Paul was run down, still got his kick away though. Moyer doing the chasing out towards the boundary line. Paddles it towards Aquay, who smothered that ball brilliantly before. He applies the tackle now, umpire lurking. He'll toss it up. What a passage of play though.
Bit of spark in the game, Jim.
I think we need a defensive effort award. I know we celebrate goals and marks all the time, but that effort from Aquay could prove to be game-saving.
The Smithy smother.
I like it. 66 apiece. Binns, White got through Binns. Aquay now and McAdam. And now shoveling the hand pass away there was Prout. On the outer side still. Trying to barge his way through there was Edwards. Again it goes over.
So Carlton, for a lot of the game, have had that extra behind the play, trusting that their players ahead of the ball can do the job and wanting to trap it in. For a lot of this quarter, though, they're kind of realising they have to go all-out attack if they're going to win. So they've actually evened up the numbers behind the play.
White got it to Windsor, over the top to Laurie. Just fell short, though. Binns out of defence to the middle, but Hunter's there for the Demons. Has support in Steele. Steele 60 metres out. Goes up towards Jefferson. Oh, he just dropped the mark right on the goal line. Laurie's there. And Brown's there. He got a toe poke to it, but Young able to scoop it up. Gets it over the top towards Lockie Young, that was on that occasion. Now on the wing again. Applying the tackle there, Woden. Carlton, though, have the numbers. The hand pass over the top. The hand pass from, I think that may have been Cunningham. It's been turned over, though, back towards Hunter. Tomlinson able to keep it in. Hand pass over the top. Binns is there, though, for Carlton. He just gets it on the boot, and they might get a mark. They do. Taking it here is O'Keefe.
O'Keefe gets the ball onto Nelson. He's got Fantasia riding shotgun. Gave it to Orazio now. A wobbly, scrappy kick inside 50. It's clean from Woden. He picks it up and will send it back the way of the Demons. Windsor got it to Steele. Another handball through the centre circles. Paddled on smartly, but Poole's there to intercept it. Jefferson came the other side of him and wrapped him up inside the centre square. It's starting to get real willing out there, Gemma Bastian, as we tick into time on, and scores a level.
Rowan Steele's got to be best on, surely.
Well, he's up there. I'd also probably have Mitch White.
And maybe Binns.
Okay. So thrown back up in the centre square. Nelson came through, left the footy behind. Having a second grower, getting it to Lockie Hunter. They come from all parts of the compass. Laurie shoveled it out, not sure it was legal. The advantage is going to be paid, and Jackson Binns can have a bounce as he strolls down the broadcast wing. Not in a real hurry to get past Mitch White, who's been awesome. Stole the footy off Jackson, got it off to Hunter, who thumps it inside 50. No real intention as to where it's going. And the mark's been taken by Young, but he's given the free kick away. Now this is more Big Ben Brown's sort of area, Gem. Go back without having to think too far, kick through it, and thump it home.
He knows how much pressure is on this kick right now as well.
Well, we talked about Tony Lockett's behind very earlier on. And
very earlier on.
And Sandy Roberts said on that day, any score will put them in front. Right now for Big Bed Brown, any score will put Casey in front. To the legend stand end, he's kicked 2 goals, 6. Looking for his third to give the Demons the lead. The big wind up from Benny. He doesn't strike it all that well. There's a pack of players in the goal square. And maybe professionally rush through. Carlton get back the footy, Joshy, but they've conceded the behind that puts them behind by 1.
An odd choice to rush a behind.
Probably could have marked it.
Or even try to win it, get it out of bounds, create a stoppage.
So Lockie Young now from fullback. Runs out of the defensive goal square. Brings it broadcast side. Up towards the wing. They fly. Jefferson through his hands. Steele at the back. Kicks up to half forward. Brown direction over his head. And seeing it over there is Lewis Young.
2 goals, 1 this quarter to Carlton, Joshy. 1-4 to Casey. Kind of feel like Casey are finishing the better, Gem. They just can't finish in front of the sticks.
Yeah, they're creating opportunities, but they're lacking that really dangerous option inside 50, aren't they? Feels like Tholstrup could be that player, though. Just a little bit of a spark from him could change everything.
He's kicked 2 goals tonight, Tholstrup. Can bob up at crucial moments. This one will be tossed in again. At half forward. Fullerton just at the back. Winning it down there was Carroll. Kicks in towards the middle of the ground. Lemmy, who's back on the ground. Good signs for him. Able to pick it up. Get it to Binns. Binns looks up towards half forward. Just bounced past Lewis. Smith was strong. Drives this one up towards the Brown direction. Tapped it forward. Fullerton flicks the hand pass over the top towards Seston. Inside 50. They work it to Brown, who takes the mark. And he'll go back and have a shot here.
See just beneath us, Mitch White out on his feet right now.
That was a mammoth defensive effort to create this opportunity.
Brown wants to give it off and just overcooked the kick towards Fullerton. Too fierce for him and runs out of bounds and will be tossed in by the umpire.
Will Carlton come back to rue that rushed behind?
Well, we'll find out in the next couple of minutes. We've gone 24 of them in the final term. It's at the right end of the ground for Casey. As it's thrown back in, Seston tried to break past Binns. Threw him into the ground with Hudson O'Keefe. They're going to ask the question, but it's been none of that going the way of holding the ball tonight. Really well umpired by the men in green on this Friday evening. O'Keefe and Fullerton. Oh, Seston just left the footy behind. Laurie went over his head towards Fullerton, who was bumped off it. It's going to be locked up again in the same spot. Tholstrup's down there, looking dangerous. Shane McAdam, Bailey Laurie. Great to see Fullerton back on the ground, contesting. Hudson O'Keefe went through his fingertips. A sweeping handball from Brown. He went the way of McAdam, who just put the ball on the deck illegally. And so Carlton have got the footy in the back pocket with Hudson O'Keefe, who's been called to play on.
So O'Keefe now sends this one up towards half-back. Jefferson flew, but went through his hands. Adams now and Hunter sees it over and out. A 1-point ball game.
A lot of discussion.
Plenty of noise. Vocal.
This one will be tossed in near the interchange gates, broadcast side. Fullerton at the front. Got a hand to it. Carroll involved. Tholstrup, kick was smothered. Hunter's there. He gets it at ground level. Tried to fend off. It's a good effort there from Nelson to wrap him up. And again, spills over and out.
Lockie Young frustrated that he didn't win a holding the ball free kick there.
26 minutes have elapsed in this final term. 9-13-67, 9-12-66. Both these sides have lost their last 2 matches. They sit 1-4 on the table. The clearance from Binns goes along the ground. Billy Wilson's gone forward. It went past him and thumped back by Maniz Wakefield. The captain of Carlton sits underneath it, Young. Here's their opportunity to go forward. Pick out a target. Lemmy had slipped through his fingertips. Well, the ball's been fumbled out the back. It opens the door for the Carlton forwards. White was strong. Edwards just flicked it out further afield. It was a high tackle, and so he'll get the free kick. In fact, Paddy Cross is going to be the man to take it. At centre-half back for the Casey Demons. They hold a 1-point advantage. To the outer side of the ground, he goes with the kick. Marchbank didn't take the mark. He's got support out there as they dump it back inside 50. No, it just falls short of that. Bounces on its point and goes over the line. Well, the intent is insufficient, according to the umpire. And so Adam Tomlinson will take it on the half-back flank.
He will.
That rush behind.
Tomlinson now. 20 or almost 27 and a half minutes gone. Tomlinson out of side. Pumps this long. Up towards the wing. The pack forms. Ben Brown flies through his hands. Binns is there. Spills to McAdam at the back of the pack. Tholstrup. Got it forward with a kick. Inside 50. A foot race. Ramshaw's there. Just pushed off the footy. And now a crafty kick from the boundary line there from Neocleus. Well, he kicked a beauty in the third quarter. Couldn't quite convert there. And a minor score. So it's now 2 points. A barrel straight up the ground. The connection wasn't quite complete. Jefferson inside 50 with the kick. Neoculus again. And now Fullerton pumps it towards goal. And a minor score.
Carlton feeling very panicked right now, knowing that they need to go quickly, but as a result, they're just fumbling the footy. They're not taking it cleanly.
Not quite sure what Lockie Young was thinking. Maybe this time he can make a better fist of things. He gives it everything he's got, though, to almost the wing. It might come back. Brown shoveled the handball towards Hunter, who's on hands and knees. Was there a chance? Although officiating umpire maybe thought about, non-officiating umpire said he got a high tackle. Marchbank furious. Can't believe it. Lockie Hunter, as professional as they come in icing the clock. Taking his absolute time. He's got Maniz Wakefield back if he wants. Oh, he nearly thought about it too. Then decides, no, I'll dump it inside 50. In the Brown direction, who's in a one-on-one. Doesn't take the mark. Kynan Brown's at the front of the contest, and Binns gets the handball up to Nelson. That's it. Casey have stolen this one from the Blues. Doing it by points alone. 9:15.69 to 9:12.66. A 29-minute final term sees the Demons prevail by 3 points in a game that was hotly contested from the first bounce, Jimmy Best.